Hey, this is Chris Florence again. We're going to talk about some basic direction for those of you who might be new to being directors, or even new to being actors that working with directors. This information will be, I think, interesting to you. And most of this I've just learned through just being in the middle of it and not knowing what the heck I'm doing. But I've had some good people that's really helped me along the way to make sure, and I'm still learning, don't get me wrong. I've got a long way to go, and the more that I realize that the more that I learn, the more I realize I don't have a clue about. What is it that you don't know what you don't know? That's kind of, I think that's probably where all of us are throughout our entire lives. But there are definitely those that are out there that are masters at this, and I'm learning as many opportunities as I have to learn from those kinds of people. I'm doing it. I'm learning. So I wanted to talk about some basics of some direction of kind of getting started as a director, and some of the things that I think, and this isn't a comprehensive list of different things. I'm just kind of going to touch on three things in general. I'm just going to touch on three things in general, and so a read through. I'm sure you've probably heard that terminology. I think read-throughs are important, especially if you're trying to gauge before you get... Once the lights are turned on and you have everybody on set, the clock is ticking in more ways than one. And the biggest way is money. You end up going on set and trying to figure this stuff out in terms of... Not figuring this stuff out as in... knowing what to do necessarily. I mean, preparation is definitely important, but what I mean is that working with individual actors, every actor is going to be different, and every actor is going to be at different stages of levels of their craft, basically. So some are going to be. I had one actor who he could read his script, and you give him 10 minutes and he could pretty much have it memorized. And I'm not talking like a little bit, I'm talking like a monologue. As a director, you want to be able to identify who you're working with, because a read through can really help you to gauge people's proficiency level and know what you can throw at them. And you'll be able to figure that out through a read through, which happens not on set, but you guys get together somewhere. It could be, in just an office space or wherever you guys have. It could be in your living room, for all that matters. Readings are important. And then you have on set where you have kind of a walkthrough. And a walkthrough is you guys going through your lines and then talking about blocking, specifics of blocking. So an example of this would be on a project recently. I had a conversation, and rather than doing like shot, counter shot, and OTS, instead of doing something boring like that, which I'm just gonna say that when you're blocking as a director, try to be creative with it. Don't be lazy. Don't be, well, we can just do OTS, and do an establishing shot and we're done. Being able to flip the 180 and understanding the 180. Do you know the 180? Do you know the 180 rules? If you don't have a DP who knows a 180 and what that is, and I'm not going to go into it right now, but the 180 is extremely important to something that's a scene that's not going to confuse your viewer. There are ways to bend that rule where you can do transitions where I've done a move where you'll have someone sitting talking, and then I'll put the camera on the slider and I'll have the DP move the slider from one shoulder to the other shoulder of the person with their back. So then we flip the 180 and now you can start filming from this other side. And we actually did that twice in that same scene. So don't be afraid to move your camera. Don't be afraid to like block your people and study blocking. The best way to do that would be to just find as many videos on YouTube. The masters who are really good at what they do, any kind of interviews about blocking. I know some of that stuff may not always be available. Using body language to tell a story. So there's many scenes where instead of instead of being like Lucas, where I think it was yeah, it was Anakin, and I can't remember which episode it was. One of the prequels, and he was like, "I'm so angry." It's kind of like, why do you have to tell us how you're feeling? There's other ways to be able to show how you feel, and a lot of that is done not just through what you say, but facial expressions is a good way. Sometimes you can do it with color and the lighting and the set design, that kind of stuff. But probably one of the easiest and most overlooked is body language. And if you have an inexperienced actor or an actress that's not familiar with expressing through body language, I actually have like a little card that I give my actors when they first get there on set, and I'm like, this is body language. Like, I want you to like study this card and understand that if you're upset, then these are some of the things that we do as humans to convey that feeling through our body language. And that's also a good subject to explore as a director, is psychology and body language, all these things, which there's a ton of information out there on that kind of stuff. I'm an Audible guy, so I consume a lot of audiobooks, and there's books on there for body language, different stuff like that. So, and so we had a conversation between them, and at one point they're facing each other, and so we're doing the typical OTS, and for those of you who don't know what that is, over the shoulder shots. And so basically what I did was I had there was a part where he gets embarrassed, and one of the characters is embarrassed, and he basically, what I had him do is in the script it had written that he goes and gets a glass of water after he realizes what he said. And so I took that a step further, and the other guy's sitting at the bar on the other side in a kitchen area. He's sitting at the bar, and then across from, he's at the sink, and he fills up his glass. And I said, I want you to turn your back to the character, and we're going to shoot you from this side to where we see you in focus in the foreground, and the other character across the bar out of focus, and you guys are going to continue the dialogue like this. I know this isn't exactly how real life is, but it shows the viewer how the character's feeling and how he shut himself off from the other character by turning his back to him. And it's a simple thing. That's not hard to do. So he turns his back to them, and then he's continuing with his line. He's drinking every once in a while. And then I said, when you get to this line, I want you to then turn around, but I don't want you to look at him. I want you to lean on the counter and look down at the counter for a while, because you're opening back up to him. Because when he says this certain line where he's like complimenting your father's memory, because it was about a father who passed away, your father's memory, then that kind of has him open back up to you, but not all the way, because people are slow to warm up after they've been embarrassed or what have you. And look at the counter until this line, and then once you get to that line, slowly look up, and then we'll finish the conversation face to face. But being able to do something like that with your actors is invaluable, and being able to do that a lot of times where you can do the entire action without the cameras rolling is important. Actually, what normally happens is if on a regular set, then you're going to bring the actors in, and then while the crew is doing their thing, you're doing the same thing with the actors, but you're being more specific because they've got all the dialogue. And so you're going to have all your camera and your DP, and you're going to walk through the whole thing with them. And then the DP and the crew are going to get everything ready through the walkthrough that you just did on the scene. You're going to walk through all of these steps, and then be able to, at the end, put it all together, and whenever they say action, whenever you say action, then hopefully everybody knows what's happening and where they're at. So those are just a couple of things that I've learned. Trial by fire. Trial by fire is probably the best way to describe it. But also just whenever I can find books on certain subjects, whenever I can find interviews on certain things, there's a ton of stuff on YouTube. And if you're not leveraging it, you're not really serious about this business. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, so there's no excuse for you not to go out there and dig online. There's a ton of information, just a wealth of information, everything from being able to how do you write a script and format the script to just so many different things. So many different things. What does an AC do? Oh, okay. I just type that into Google. What is the AC's job on a video, on a production set? And the answer is right there. And I think part of that is a problem. I think that the information is so easily given to us that we don't even bother looking it up sometimes. And so I want to challenge you, if you found yourself just kind of skating by, I would challenge you to just really dig in. I mean, we're producing things that reflect on who God is in his very nature as Christ followers. We serve the most creative being in the universe, who all of these things, everything from psychology to body language, this is all his stuff. Like he designed this stuff. This is how he made things to be. This is how nature was set in motion by him. None of this is a mistake. And so we need to try to understand how a creator made things and how things are supposed to be naturally. Everything from lighting to how we're supposed to respond to certain dialogue and acting, and being able to interpret certain scenes and be able to deliver emotionally charged scenes. I think all that stuff is incredibly important to understand that this is all an offering to who God is. So I want to challenge you. Do what you can to learn, and I hope that this video might help you in that way. If you guys have any questions, just reach out to me here on Facebook or wherever. I'll throw my email address on the screen. I don't really care. If you guys have a question about something, or you want to send me something you're working on and you're like, I don't even know, I feel like I'm stuck here, I don't know what to do. I may not have the answer for you. I might not. But if I do, I'd be more than happy to talk with you on the phone and, hit some ideas around or whatever. Regardless of who you are, I just feel like we all start somewhere, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask questions. And also dig yourself. Not just ask questions, but also do your own research. So in the end, I hope what I had to say today was helpful to some of you guys. So we'll see you soon.